at glance. The whole project is to see how we can get a glimpse of each chapter. It will not be one session per chapter, because when I started preparing it, it is impossible to cover Gita in one session. It is possible, but then as many people have not attended in detail the earlier chapters, there might be one or two sessions per chapter. But we will ensure that we will cover important points. And then we will see in one session entire Gita. Important points where we can see the pearl necklace of all 18 chapters. So all those who have logged in, thank you very much. Let us all invoke grace. So please sit straight. Mentally, we can do puja and invoke grace. Sit straight, take a deep breath, and let us pray for successful completion of this project to Lord Ganpati. Many people want to attend, listen, but many obstacles come. Guests come, health goes for a toss, unable to attend because of travel or this, laziness, sleepiness, or even the feeling of I don't want to attend, that also is an obstacle. So let us invoke Lord Ganpati's grace that this project, what we are taking, is completed. Let us invoke Param Guru, Tapan Maharaj. It is said that Chinmaya Mission is standing on his blessings and grace of Vairagya. Our Gurudev, who is a revolutionary saint, once in one yuga such saint comes. Krishna told Gita to Arjun. It has been said that Gurudev told Gita to lakhs of people. Guruji, Swami Tejovananji, whom we call out of love as Guruji, one of the living realized person, authority on Sanskrit and Vedanta, and all the Swamis, Swaminis whom I listen to. Ved Vyasji, whom we are going to discuss today, Adi Shankaracharya ji, and all the saints. I would invite all of you, please think of all these Mahatmas, Lord, and invoke their blessings and grace on us. Let this wonderful knowledge be protected. Experienced, shared. And let this knowledge be revealed to us as our own experience. That is our final wish. It should not remain as information, interesting for discussion. Let us take one more deep, slow, conscious, happy breath. Let us bring the mind in the present moment. Past has gone, never to come back. No past regrets. Future yet to unfold. No anxiety for the future. God will take care. अब तक निभाया है, आगे भी निभा देना. That is our prayer. No present confusion about our role, goal, duty. That is one of the main message of Bhagavad Gita. And let us chant loudly so that all lingering thoughts vanish. Om. Om.
सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः गजाननं भूतगणातिसेवितं पवित्रजम्बूफलसारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजं सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः सावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्.
Gita Dhyanam, first few verses. Those who know can chant in your mind or loudly. Yeah, Lataji.
Om Pataya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kratitam Purana Muninam Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadyayini अम्बत्वमनुसन्ददामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं
Hari Om. Thank you, Lata Rajshekhar-ji. They have been chanting for each session, and also Vatsalamma, who has been singing. So I hope all of you have this Holy Gita of Swami Chinmayananda. As we are discussing, you can glance through it and read that to get the whole essence of each chapter. So thank you very much to all of you as we have invoked grace. I think one of my inspiration is all of you who regularly come to listen to this beautiful dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjun. So one question always arises when we start Gita, that where to start? Where to start Gita dialogue? So when this question comes, definitely we have to go to Mahabharata. So today's session will be a little more stories and background of Mahabharata. Whenever I read Mahabharata, I feel that we must take Mahabharata stories. They are so fascinating, so complex relationships, unimaginable number of people Ved Vyasji has covered is mind-boggling to see how the whole unit has come across, called as Mahabharata, which has 1 lakh verses. There was another dilemma I had whether I should have a PPT or no. When I spoke to a couple of them, they told let there be PPT because sometimes we listen, but when there is a sentence, we can write down. So we will have a PPT. So we are doing Gita at glance, chapter-wise summary. As Lord has mentioned that there should not be any contradiction between one verse and another verse, one chapter and another chapter. And we must be able to see the 18 pearls necklace. So that is the whole purpose. And Lord himself has told in the last that we must revise, remember, and see this as one piece. So as we mentioned, where to start? Mahabharata. 1 lakh verses, 2000 chapters. Very interestingly, we are only doing one Gita, that is the Bhagavad Gita, but there are 18 Gitas in Mahabharata. Different Gitas. As we know, Gita means that which is sung. So there are dialogues where there is discussion about who am I, what is God, what is this world, what is my duty, etc., etc. So there are certain number of topics which are covered in that particular those verses. So that is called as Gita, and the meter slightly changes. And in this Mahabharata, there are different Gitas which are having dialogues from different people. So Gita appears where in Mahabharata in Bhishma Parva, 6th chapter. But before Gita, this Gita, as we mentioned, there are many Gitas. One Gita we have to mention, which Arjun also heard. Now, very interestingly, Arjun has heard this Gita and now he is listening to this Gita. So that shows that even though we have heard Gita and have studied the scriptures for many, many years or lives, still we can get confused. We can feel sadness. We can feel attachment. So one of the Gita which we have to mention, like there are some Gitas which are popular other than the Bhagavad Gita. One is the Vyada Gita, and another Gita which is equally important like Bhagavad Gita is the Anu Gita, which again Lord himself has mentioned. But as this Gita comes in the 6th chapter, there is another Gita which comes in the Vana Parva, which is called as a Vyada Gita, 3rd chapter, where Pandavas are in exile. So as I mentioned, we have to see some story that where we have landed to this dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjun. So this Gita is told by sage Markandeya. His story is another story which we will not get into. He is telling the Pandavas. That is called as a Vyada Gita. Now, this is, we have to just refer to this Gita, the story part, where the story comes says that there is a hermit, there is a monk who is left his house and gone into the forest. And he is practicing various upasanas and dhyana samadhi. And one day he is sitting in the forest under a tree and there is one dropping falls on his head or in his shoulder, bird dropping. Now his meditation gets disturbed and he looks up and sees the bird, that the bird has disturbed his sadhana. Now this monk or hermit, he feels anger. Now another point we have to understand, because this sage Markandeya is telling our Pandavas that after doing lot of upasana and meditation also, overcoming anger is not very easy. He looks at the bird and the bird drops dead. The bird catches fire and it becomes ash. Now instead of feeling guilty or compassion towards this bird, this monk becomes arrogant. I have got power. Some people become arrogant with power. That day evening when he goes out for bhiksha, now there is a rule of this, there is a rule in bhiksha also, they have to go only to limited houses. They cannot go to infinite houses, still different food items they get. So he stands before one house and starts chanting Om Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi. No sound comes. Om Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi. Then from inside one women sound comes. Wait, I am coming. Third time he waits. He waits there, and third time he says, fourth time he says, the woman from inside says, wait, I am feeding my sick husband. After completing that, I will come out and give you bhiksha. Now this monk becomes extremely angry. He says to her, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? You are feeding your sick husband. Do you know who I am? The lady from inside says, yeah, I know who you are. You are that same hermit who killed one innocent bird today morning. Now when this monk hears this, he realizes that this lady who is a old lady there serving her husband, she has got the power to understand what is happening in this entire universe sitting inside her house. How did she come to know that I have killed a bird? Only me and the bird were present. This happened in the early morning. And so casually she is telling that, yeah, I know, I'm not having that much of respect for you. And when she opens the door and gives him this bhiksha, he prostrates to her saying, Amma, please give me this power. You are my guru. She says, no, I am not your guru. Your guru is sitting in that market. He is different because I can see that. He then asks her, who is my guru? How would I know him? He told, you go to that market. Now this story is Markandeya is telling Pandavas, a very important one. That market you go and then your guru is sitting in that market. Now in the marketplace is sitting, number 1 point. He says, how can the guru be in the marketplace? It's not only that. You will find your guru in one shop. Then he asks, which kind of shop? He says, there is a butcher's shop. In that you will find your guru. So he goes and finds one person cutting mutton, chicken, cut, with all this beard and looking wild. And he realizes that he is his guru. And very interestingly, Bhagavad Gita happens where that guru tells this monk about Atma, about Dharma, about duty, about various things in the butcher's shop, where one side he is cutting mutton, chicken, and one side he is telling this Adhyatmik Jnana, highest. Now, very importantly, after the discourse is over, this monk goes home and serves his parents, and he realizes that serving his parent is more important than escaping in jungle and meditating. So in the first Gita also, Arjuna has heard this. This is an important point for all of us. So I took this story because there are thousands of stories in Mahabharata. Now Arjuna has heard this story that it is important to serve parents. That will give more Chitta Shuddhi and more Chitta Ekagrata than going in the forest and meditating. So very interestingly, the first Gita, the Vyada Gita, happens in a butcher's shop, which is a violent place, marketplace. And the second Gita happens in Lord's Bhagavad Gita happens in a battlefield. And after that also, Arjun wants to go to Himalayas and meditate. He fights the battle. So both Gita settings are butcher's shop and battlefield. Both are violent places. Both are not Himalayan terrain where one can go in the cave and read Gita and listen to Gita and meditate. So we have to hear Gita here and now when we are in the sansara, when we are fighting, when we are having challenges, when we are having office challenges, health challenges, family challenges, this because that is where the Gita is told. Both Gita settings are violent spaces. Very important point. So what a wonderful setting Mahabharata has got.
Prasad,
Huh?
just one announcement you make that we have reached this 100 limit. So those who are not able to log in, they like if someone wants to.
Yeah. So now we have reached 100 numbers. Thank you very much. I hope it grows and continues because that is our purpose. This knowledge.
People will not be able to log
maximum,
in.
And those who are not able to log in here, but I don't know whether they will be here, they can log in on Facebook and see this live.
So I've shared the Facebook link in the 3 groups.
Yeah.
So they can share it further.
Yeah. So those, if you are getting calls,
my friends is trying to log in. So I'll share.
You have invited people and if they are not able to log in, please tell them to log in on Facebook and listen live. So both these settings are violent spaces. So number 1 point, which is very important for all of us to understand, people think that one of the myth. So the stories what I have picked up are myth busters. That, Gita, I must have complete peace. I must be retired. I must go to an ashram, and then I must listen Gita there and practice where? So the settings are very important. The dialogues are very important. These are for you and me. Both gives importance to householders' life and duties than being a monk. Interesting point of observation. Both Gitas tell Arjun that it is a time to do your duty, know the entire Shastra, and this is not the time for you to go and meditate right now because you are not yet ready. Who was the writer of Mahabharata? Ganeshi. First it was called as Jaya, but that it seems that it was so wonderful text that gods from heaven came and took it away. So Ved Vyasji again wrote, then it was called Bharata. Our country's name is Bharata. And now it is called as Mahabharata. Earlier the verses were lesser, and as Ved Vyasji wrote Bharata and then Mahabharata, the verses have increased. It seems that Bharata had 26,000, Mahabharata has 1 lakh verses, because he understood that people will not be able to read between the lines. People will not know what is Lakshartha and what is Vachartha. Some people take literal meaning. They will have to be explained in detail. So later on he added verses. So 1 lakh verses in Mahabharata. Biggest literature available on the planet. And suppose we see the intricacies of all the characters and relationships, that is wonderful. Now, who is this person? So I am taking 1 or 2 stories about people who are less known to us. Ved Vyasji is the compiler of the Vedas, writer of Mahabharata, and Ved Vyasji means vast expanse. So he is definitely a Vibhuti himself, because such great knowledge. Guru Purnima, what we celebrate, is basically dedicated on his birthday to Ved Vyasji. Now, who is Ved Vyasji? We have to see. So there we will take 1 or 2 stories. So Ved Vyasji's father is one of the great rishis about whom we know less, or there are some kind of myths also. Sage Parashar Rishi. So Parashar Rishi was a traveling monk, Rishi. On the planet that time, he was one of the greatest jnanis. Also, one important point about Parashar Rishi, there is a Parashar Hora. It is in Sanskrit. There is a book called as Parashar Hora. He was a great astrologer. Even that boon he had given to Ved Vyasji to see what is the future. Now he saw that there is a time which is going to come. That time, whoever is the child is born, that child will be one of the greatest intelligent brains on the planet. That timing is important, because in astrology, children must be born on a specific nakshatra, etc., etc. There are calculations. So he calculated that. This story is important because people think that different stories, and then there should not be confusion. He was a great intelligent Rishi. He had this kind of future reading. And as he was a traveling monk, one day when he was traveling, he realized that time which is so important on this planet is coming nearer. And that time he was traveling in a river. And there, definitely, as we know, there are some fisher women who was traveling, and her father was there. And he realized that this time he cannot miss it, because this time is only once on the planet it will come. So he requested the father. Now, this is very important to understand why I'm taking this story, because There are different versions and people who have not read entire Mahabharata. Not that I have read, but we have to get to the right source. He requests the fisherman that, thank you for dropping me from one point to another, but let me tell you one thing, that I need to bring this child on this planet. And your daughter is there. Can you give your daughter to me for this purpose? I have no other interest. Now, very importantly, the daughter's name is Satyavati. So Ved Vyasji's mother is Satyavati. Why we are taking Ved Vyasji's greatness? Because without knowing who are his father and mother, his greatness is not known. Now, very interesting and greatness of Satyavati also, because people think she is a fisherwoman. Now, very important, a beautiful fisherwoman is getting a proposal just for delivering the baby, because he says, I'm not going to be staying here at all. Number one. Now, for a virgin girl to deliver a baby and the father will be disappearing after that, she has to have courage and she has to have that kind of vision, that for what purpose and vision this child is getting born, because he will be one of the greatest brains on the planet. He will create history, revolutionary saint. Now Satyavati accepts that, because it is not easy for a young girl to accept, because she will get pregnant, she will deliver, people will ask, who is your father? When did you get married? Because the time is coming nearer, so she accepts. And she says that, okay, I will accept this, but I am putting two conditions, that my virginity will remain intact, and I am smelling bad because I am a fisherwoman. I want a boon from you that I will be smelling like musk, and this fragrance will go yojanas. So there is a name given to Satyavati. There are many names. Another name is Gandhavati. So this boon Sage Parashar gives. Also, not that, earlier days, there were technologies available that without certain biological processes, children can be given birth. So now with that noble purpose in mind, Ved Vyasji is born. Now, very interestingly, Ved Vyasji, his name is called as Krishna Dvaipan. He is dark in color, and within first 5 years, he knows everything. Now he constantly is asking his mother, where is my father? Now Satyavati is unable to answer. She says, he will come, he will come. No, I want to meet my father. And one day when he's 5 to 6 year old, his father comes through that way. And then he says, I want to go with my father. Now, Sage Parashar asks her that, can you give permission? She gives. No, that is the greatness of a mother, that she took that risk of giving birth to a great child, taking that risk, that without marriage, without ceremony, without thinking that what the community will say. And now she's allowed her husband to disappear after marriage one day, and allowing her child also to let go. So this is important point, because next part of Satyavati is slightly different. So she allows Ved Vyasji to go with his father, never to come back. And Ved Vyasji learns everything from his guru, who is his father, Sage Parashar. Now, this is one part of the story. Now, this lady is very important for us in Mahabharata, because here it starts. Now, the same Satyavati, as she has got this boon of that her fragrance is going to reach yojanas once. So here we can start with Mahabharata, a little part, because always when we see where this Gita starts or where the Mahabharata we can start, we have to only come to this part and little bit mention it. So Shantanu king, who is the king of Hastinapur, once he is traveling and he smells beautiful fragrance, and then he travels and sees this fragrance is coming from this girl. He proposes, she says yes, but now she puts condition. Now we can see what is her condition, because now we know that she has already proven her greatness. Now she puts one condition to King Dushyant that my son will be the king, because she knows that Shantanu has a king called as Bhishma. Now we all know that story, that Shantanu becomes depressed, sad, and then Bhishma asks him that, why are you sad, father? He says, no, I've fallen in love with another woman, but I cannot make you king, because that time Bhishma is 25-year-old or 24-year-old. He has conquered the entire planet with his power. He is the ideal king. But now attachment comes. So here our Gita is going to start, because Gita starts with sadness of Arjun, and that sadness causes attachment. So now Shantanu says that this girl has put a condition that her sons will become king. So he says, okay, that is enough. You don't have to worry, you get married. I will take Pratijna that I will not become king. Then she puts another condition. No, tomorrow Bhishma will get married and his sons, then what? They'll be fighting. So then another Pratijna Bhishma takes, that I will remain Ajanma Brahmachari. So 2 Bhishma Pratijnas he takes. And Satyavati then marries Shantanu, and then she has 2 children, Vichitra Virya and Chitrangada. And then, interestingly, these 2 children do not have further offspring. So Satyavati arranges Ved Vyasji, she calls her son. And then 3 children are born. So Ved Vyasji's parents are Sage Parashar and Satyavati. And his sons are Shukdev, who is one of the greatest saints who told Bhagavad Puran to Parikshit. And then he has 3 sons, Pandu, Dhritarashtra and Vidurji. Many people may not know, have not read Mahabharata, that Pandu, Dhritarashtra and Vidurji actually are Ved Vyasji's son. Vidurji is Dasiputra. Now that is where the entire Mahabharata starts, where there is going to be war between the cousins. Pandu's children become Pandavas, Dhritarashtra's children become Kauravas, and Vidurji is Dasiputra, the most intelligent one, but all 3 have challenges to become kings. Pandu is weak, Dhritarashtra is blind, Vidurji is Dasiputra. But very interestingly, Vedvyasji comes there through Niyoga. These children are born, and then Satyavati goes back after Pandu dies to forest with her 2 daughter-in-laws, Amba and Ambalika, and then gives her life. And that is where our Mahabharata starts. War starts. So this is very important to mention the greatness of Vedvyasji, because unless and until we know about his father and mother and also his sons. So that's the reason Vedvyasji has written all these things, and many people think that this is a story, mythology, that is a boon from Britishers to us. This is actually called as Itihas. This way it happened. Like today we are so interested to tell our story. You know what happened? I got married, and then I went to school, I went to college, and this happened in the college. So this is Itihas. This is what we and you saw happening in our own life. Similarly, Vedvyasji saw it happening and he was part of that particular story. So this is a background of Gita. where Lord Krishna tells this Gita to Arjun, where there are 18 chapters and 700 verses. And we all know, because that story I'm not getting into this, some of the parts we'll get into which are less known. And we know how the entire Mahabharata war background. Somewhere we will take some references. But now we'll come to our own Gita summary. Dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjun, both kings and warriors, householders. One is divine, one is human. So that's the reason Gita is happening here and now with us in our own life. If we see Mahabharata and relationships and the anxiety and all the strategy and all those anger, jealousy, etc., all those kind of emotions, all kind of relationships are there. In that, Krishna and Arjuna are having this dialogue which is called as Gita. So Krishna is the source, Arjun is the seeker, Sanjay is the sincere transmitter who has infinite vision but no authority. And then we have one more character in Gita, Dhritarashtra, silent, fearful judge. He is all the time scared that what Lord Krishna is going to tell. Complete authority but no vision. We are going to take lessons from the first chapter. In that, some of the lessons will come from these characters also. That we must not be like Dhritarashtra who are blind to reality. There are some people, interestingly, they cannot say anything bad in life. And there are some people who cannot say anything good in life. Important thing is that we must be able to see what is the reality and accept the reality. Why Dhritarashtra is silent throughout the Gita? Because he is fearful. He is judging what Lord Krishna is going to do, what Lord Krishna is going to say, and how he is going to support the entire thing, because somewhere he knows that who is Lord Krishna, but he is not ready to accept. And he is not ready to accept because of his own tamas and own attachment to the kingdom and his son. So very interestingly, Dhritarashtra is attached to his son, Duryodhana is attached to the kingdom, and Arjuna is attached to relatives. That is where Gita starts. So what is Bhagavad means divine, and Gita means that which is sung, so the song of the Lord, and the meter is Anushtupa Chanda. So this is called as part of Prasthanatrayi. Prasthanatrayi means 3 vehicles on which we can get permanent happiness. There are 3 on which we can sit and then get permanent happiness. One is Brahma Sutra, Nyaya Prasthana, Upanishad, Shruti Prasthana it is called, and now we are discussing Bhagavad Gita, which is called as Smriti Prasthana. Prasthana means prasthan, take off. So our mind must be able to take off with this Bhagavad Gita knowledge in higher realms. So in Vedanta, there are 3 types of text. One is Pramana Grantha, valid text, validity is there. One is Prakarana Grantha. Prakarana Grantha, only some topics are given, and then there is Santa Vangmaya, where our Ramana Maharshi will say, Tukaram Maharaj, Jnaneshwar Maharaj, Ramdas Swami. There are many saints in India who have commented on Bhagavad Gita and on various texts. Prakaran Grantha are primary to Pramana Grantha. Before learning Bhagavad Gita, we must have a glimpse of what is there in Atmabodh, Tattvabodh, Drugdrishya Viveks, etc. Because these are the texts from 11th standard to graduation. And then graduation text is Bhagavad Gita, and the PhD text is Upanishad, and then specialized PhD is Brahma Sutra. And this Santa Vangmaya, all these saints, they support all these sayings or all these Mahavakya, saying that that is my experience. So now we are going to take up one topic which is extremely important. Let us see how much time we have. Any text we are going to read in life, we must basically be able to tell that text in 5 minutes. We must learn the art of expressing ourselves in minimal words. Those who are interested to practice this, there are videos on YouTube called as the elevator speech, just for practice. There's a very interesting concept in elevator speech. Elevator speech, if you type on YouTube, you will find some videos and some kind of interesting practices which we can master. What is elevator speech? They say that suppose you meet a great person, Ratan Tata or Narayan Murthy, or whoever you think, Sachin Tendulkar, who is great, or Guruji, or anybody whom you think as great. And you are alone with that particular person in that lift, elevator. And the person asks you, what do you do in life? Now you are only 30 seconds before his stop is going to come, whether he's going to get down at ground floor or first floor or fourth floor. You have only 30 seconds. He asks one question, what do you do in life? And we have only 30 seconds to actually tell that particular person, what do I do? I don't have time. No, I was born in this, Kerala, and then I came here, and then 30 seconds. What do I do? And then he must get impressed and he must offer us some venture. Okay, I'm interested in what you are doing. So similarly, if people ask us tomorrow, what do you learn in Bhagavad Gita, getting up every Sunday morning, and then you are going for chanting and listening? What is there in Bhagavad Gita? Now he says Bhagavad Gita is Karma Yoga, etc., etc., etc. So we must be able to tell what is there in Bhagavad Gita in 30 seconds. So for this concept called as Anubandha Chatushtaya is important, which is our Vedantic concept. Once I learn this Anubandha Chatushtaya, we know that how to read any text. Suppose I have only 15 minutes and there is a 500-page book. How to ask these 4 questions to another person who has read this book, and he can tell us what is there in this particular text, and we can know the entire text. So this is Anubandha Chatushtaya of Bhagavad Gita, which is important, because finally if somebody asks us what is there in Bhagavad Gita, we must be able to tell. So there are 4 things are there in Anubandha Chatushtaya. Who is the seeker? The theme of Gita, the result, what I'm going to get after listening to this Gita, and what is the relationship. The seeker, the theme, the result, the relationship. These 4, I must know about all text, whatever we read. Even if it is a fiction book, we must be able to tell these 4 things. For whom it is, what is the central theme of that text? What will be the result after reading this text or seeing this movie or going to that drama, whatever? And what is the relationship between me and the result? Whether really I can get the result or do I have to do something else? A very important point of Gita we will take up. So for whom? So this Gita is for those who are having challenges in life, those who are having confusions in life, those who are having fear those who are emotionally drained. For them, Gita is there. Suppose I do not have all these qualifications, then I must read some other text, because Gita is for all of us. Then I must go for Upanishad. Then I must go for Brahma Sutra. Day-to-day challenges, health challenges, relationship challenges, emotional challenges, intellectual confusions, spiritual dilemma, what to do, what not to do. This Arjun had this dilemma even after listening to so many Gitas. In 2.7th verse, very importantly, Arjun says that these two things you tell me, that I am confused. So first of all, one important qualification of a seeker through Arjun we are going to learn here is that I must tell people or the coach or the world that I don't know. I'm confused. Dharma Sambuddha Cheta. This is the very important verse of 2.7 that we will take in the second chapter, where he surrenders and says, please tell me clearly, Nishchitam, what is good for me, in what action my well-being will be there. These two are important points for us. I must clearly be able to define what is my confusion, what is my problem statement. Because after half an hour story, then when somebody asks, okay, what is your problem? But so I must be able to define my problem. He says, Bhagwan, I do not know what to do in this situation. I am confused. Whether to fight or not to fight, whether to kill them or not to kill them, I am confused. And secondly, I am not sure that whether after doing this, there will be well-being for me and others. So very important two questions we must ask. When we meet Mahatmas, one day I was sitting with Guruji, he says he was talking to people and he was saying that when people go to saints, they talk about world only. Then they say, Guruji, मेरी बेटी के लिए कोई हस्बैंड देखो, मेरा बेटा का शादी नहीं हो रहा है, उसके लिए कोई लड़की देखो. You are to going world over, Guruji. You know so many people. As if I'm having a marriage bureau there. Or health problem, go to doctor. Not getting married, go to marriage bureau. Then he finally added, when we go to saints, we must go to people what they have and ask that. He says, एक संत के पास क्या होता है? ज्ञान, वैराग्य, शांति. ये मांगो. Important point. Ask for jnana, ask for shanti, ask for dispassion. So here, very important pointer for Arjun is that he asked beautiful, right questions to Lord Krishna. So the first, that for whom this Gita is for all of us. Because we are into this sansara, we are working, we are having challenges, we are having families, we are having so many things, and then our emotions go up and down, and that is where we must read Gita. Arjun knew his duty but was confused with different options. Not that he was not aware what is his duty. But whether I am doing the right duty and whether this duty is right, who will decide? People say, I did my duty for last 30, 40 years, but still why I am not having happiness, peace of mind? Why I am not having that respect? Why I am always agitated? Because maybe I am not doing the right duty in right attitude. So now two things. Arjun was keen on having freedom from confusion. What is dharma? What is adharma? What is my duty? What is my role? And what is my goal in any given situation? These three are important words for all of us. What is my role? What is my goal? And what is my situation? What I am into? This is a family situation, this is a corporate situation, this is a social situation, this is a Chinmaya mission situation. What is my role, goal, duty in that situation? This keeps changing as per the relationships. Relationship drives the role, goal, duty. And that is where the Gita starts, because this is a starting point of Gita. First chapter, we must understand why Arjun is confused. And why he's become sad and why he says that I don't want to fight and I want to escape. So freedom from confusion is a very important point, and unless and until we ask, it will not go. We must not pretend that I know everything. Then his second question he asks, which is a very important question. When we meet people, great people, we must ask, tell me what should I do, where it will be good for me, what will be the best solution, where there will be my welfare and well-being of all, and there will be fulfillment in life, where my progress will happen. Not only it looks very nice now, but later on it will create problems to me. So these two are the important pointers of a seeker. So now this particular thing, first pointer what is there in Bhagavad Gita is that who is a seeker? What are the qualifications of the adhikari? So we'll just complete that and then we will take up the 3 other pointers in the next session. Qualifications of a seeker like you and me are keenness on listening. So we are all keen on listening. So we are getting up on Sunday morning and attending this. We must give time for reflecting on this. We have to find time. We should not say that I am busy. Guruji says there is no time for the timeless. Never say I'm busy in life and that's the reason I'm not having time for scriptural studies or reflecting, because then what I'm busy into? Then I must have the intelligence for understanding, develop intelligence. If I'm not understanding, I must have sincerity in asking questions, humility of accepting what is the reality, and little adventure nature to experiment with different possibilities what Gita is going to tell us, because Gita is not a textbook. It is called as a manual in Gurudev's words. We must have the courage of application and readiness of acting with efficiency, and Arjun displayed all this kind of thing with the final thing, faith on Guru, God, scriptures for living the teachings. Otherwise, there are people who can chant but are not living Gita. So what are the qualifications of a seeker? This is very important. So when these qualifications are there, then the dialogue happens. Samvad happens between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. If any of these things are missing, there will be monologue. So what is there in Gita? That we are going to take up next time. What all things are there in Gita? Then what will I get? A very important question. Gita doesn't say that do your action and forget about results. Okay, you should not know the results. I don't know that result. No, here we should know the result. Only thing is that I must not have insistence, resistance, and obsession for the result. That is a central theme of Gita. No intelligent person will start a project or do an action without knowing the result. We must know that the result is temporary. It is not going to be permanent. That is the message of Gita, because this is another myth that Gita says that do your action, forget the result. No. Here in our Vedanta, we must know the result. And whether this Gita will give me the result, that is a relationship. So that we will take up next time. So I hope this project we have taken up of going chapter wise. You will see when the chapter start, we will see the summary of the chapter, and also we'll conclude what are the lessons from that particular chapter. So maybe somebody has to just go through, the person can go through it quickly. As we all know, 4th February is our important date coming in Chembur. We have Swami Swarupananji coming. Only one talk, know yourself and shape your destiny. If I don't know myself and then I'm doing so many things in life, it becomes worthless. 6:30 to 8 in Fine Arts. Please come. Also, please spread about this Gita and that talk to at least 10-15 people. Call them up. Don't send only WhatsApp in your groups. Calling is very important. It gives that kind of bond and emotional connect. And also those who want to donate, those who want to support Vishwavidyapeeth, where world over people are going to come and study, please come forward and donate. If we are going to have a lot of sessions like this, and anytime you feel like giving, please give immediately. Like Karna, our mind can change, our thoughts can change. So those who feel like giving, give, because that is one of the message of Gita, that give, do tyaga. So 4th February, 6:30 to 8. That is what we are all gearing and working towards. Hari Om. Om
Prasad,
Purnamada. Huh?
announce about the other two talks also, because there are 93 people right now who have logged in from
So
various.
there are two more talks. We will post the flyer immediately after this class, one in Mahim and one in Kandivali. So those who are staying in that area, they can attend that talk. One on Hanuman, and there is one more talk by Swarupananji. There are only 3 talks of 1.5 hour in Mumbai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you very much.
Today is Neetaji's birthday.
Ah, yes, yes.